What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Post-Gazette Pirates YouTube channel and podcast network. Noah Hiles coming to you on Monday, August 25th. Final week of the month of August, which means we are 1 week away from September baseball. In today's show, we're going to be talking about some potential September call-ups the Pirates could lean on as the roster expands to 2 additional spots a week from today. But before we get into that, I want to remind everyone to check out all of my work at post-gazette.com. Get yourself a digital subscription if you don't have one already, and check out our print product. We print on Thursdays and Sundays. Again, you can read everything at post-gazette.com, not just our Pirates coverage. We cover all sports in the Steel City from high school through college, all the way up to the professional level. And we cover everything else that goes on in town. So read it all at post-gazette.com. Okay, September call-ups. We are almost there, folks. Final month of the season is a week away. Final Monday before September baseball arrives. The Pirates will play 4 games in St. Louis and then 3 more over the weekend in Boston. Colin will be in St. Louis to cover that series. He and I will both be in Boston for the weekend series. And then when we return home, the Pirates will begin a 3-game set against the Dodgers on September 2nd. And when that game begins, the Pirates will have 28 men on their active roster as opposed to 26. So the roster expands 2 additional spots. Who will fill those spots? We're going to talk about those candidates for there. I have 4 potential names to keep an eye on. 2 guys who are hitters, 2 guys who are pitchers. And this is excluding people currently on the IL. So you look at a guy like Oneil Cruz, who will probably be activated by the time you're watching this video. Or even guys like Tim Meza and Justin Lawrence. Maybe they're ready. Probably not. I would assume they're probably going to join the big league club late September. I don't think their rehab assignments are close enough to being ready just yet. So I just picked 4 minor leaguers. We'll start with the 2 position players, guys that I get asked a lot about on my mailbags. 2 players that some people think can help the offense. Nick Yorke and Cam Devanney are my 2 picks. Let's start with Yorke. He's hitting .284 this season in AAA. He has 7 home runs and a .746 OPS on the season, a guy with a lot of defensive versatility. He's on the 40-man roster. His second half has been better than the front half of his season, where he's slashing .301, .345, and .442 in 38 games. This is a guy that, candidly, I would have expected to be a big leaguer by this point in the season, especially if you told me how poorly this year was going to start, that they were pretty much going to be out of contention by the end of the first month of the year. I would have thought Nick Yorke would have been up here by now, but I understand why he hasn't been up here. The OPS still, even in the second half, 787, like that's good in the major leagues, but in AAA, I think you would like to see that probably over 800 on the season, if not at least in the second half. And when guys like Nick Solak are still hitting the ball better than you, Jack Sawinski tore the cover off the ball in AAA. Some other guys, it's good for AAA, and it's an aesthetically pleasing stat line on the surface level. But does it give you any indication that he can be a difference maker or even be better than what they currently have? I don't really think so, because that's probably all those figures are probably going to drop due to an increase in competition. So I get why he's not here. I was surprised. I would have been surprised at the start of the year, but I understand why it hasn't happened. I still think there's a high likelihood that we see him up here in September. And he was a September call-up last year in the back half of September. So could be 2 years in a row for Nick Yorke. Cam Devanney, another guy that has a lot of chatter. Obviously, he got acquired mid-July for Adam Frazier from the Kansas City Royals. His numbers are pretty good in AAA this year. He's hitting .262 with an .845 OPS and 20 home runs. It's a career best, 20 home runs. Now, I will say he hasn't been amazing since coming over to Pittsburgh. He has a .663 OPS in 30 games with AAA Indianapolis. So, again, not amazing production. He's on the 40-man roster. He could get called up. He's a utility guy. I expect him to get called up. But another player that when they acquired him, I thought, oh, he'll probably be with the team in August. But you understand why. This production, like I said, a .663 OPS since coming over here, it's not very good. So other guys got opportunities ahead of him. On the pitching side, shocker, things are a little bit more enticing. Hunter Barco is the first pitcher that I would like to see. I think he's probably the most important September call-up they could have. And I think there's a chance we see him. Probably not on September 1st or September 2nd, which would be their first game in September. But I think we see him by the end of the season. In AAA this year, he's had 17 outings, 16 of them starts. He's 2-1 with a 4.08 ERA. He has 75 strikeouts over 64 innings of work. He was, of course, brilliant in AA to start this season before getting promoted to AAA. Overall, he's had 89 2/3 innings pitched this year. His career high prior to this season was 66. So he's blowing that out of the water. I anticipate Barco being a guy who comes up in a long relief role or even just a traditional bullpen role whenever he does come up. I don't think he's going to come up as a starter. He's someone that I think will get promoted mid to late September. We'll see him make a few relief appearances because they're going to want to monitor that workload. I can't imagine that they want him to have too much more work on the mound. Like they want him, I'm sure, to get consistent reps, but that innings total is getting pretty high of a jump. And I understand that last year was his first full professional season, but still, it just seems like a high workload, and they're going to be monitoring that volume. So I think he'll be up here in a bullpen role. And I think that makes sense. Maybe not even in a long relief role, but just a traditional bullpen role in the final couple of weeks of the season. And that will be good because this guy, I think, is going to be a big part of next year's team. Probably not a realistic candidate to make the club out of camp, but someone who will definitely start games for the Pirates if he's healthy in 2026. And last but certainly not least, a reliever that I personally have been rooting to see here in the majors all season. I understand why he's not here. But Eddy Yean is a guy that I think has a lot of potential. I really liked how he looked this spring. Tremendous size. This was a guy that was acquired at 18 years old in the Josh Bell deal all the way back in 2020. So he's been in the organization for quite some time. He's kind of, grown up as a Pirate minor leaguer. This year in AAA, he's played in 42 games. He's 7-5 with a 313 earned run average. He's a reliever. He's thrown 54 2/3 innings, 40 strikeouts over that stretch, and 7 saves. I think he's someone who can be a nice bullpen depth piece next year. I don't think he's a high priority to get called up. But I would like to see him. And I think his stuff's good. And I think he can be a fine major league reliever at some point in his career, probably starting next season. But keep an eye out on Eddy Yean. He's kind of my sleeper pick in this group of 4. So let me know what you think about my list. If I left off any other names, be sure to comment them below. Subscribe to this channel if you don't already. And keep tuning in to all of our coverage here on this network and at post-gazette.com.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.